Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weekend forecast for, sorry, that says work week, but it is weekend forecast from March 8th through the 10th. And yeah, things are going to be a little interesting. We got the last really nice warm day here we've had in a while. And then things are going to get a little more interesting weather-wise. A little less spring-like, although still pretty spring-like. Mostly rain out of this next system. A little bit of elevation snow mixed in. A little bit of accumulation in some spots, but overall not that much. So here's our storm getting going. It's a pretty impressive storm. Mostly southern jet stream energy. That's why we're going to get mostly rain out of this one. A little bit of tapped northern jet stream energy, which is helping a little bit, but still mostly a southern stream storm. That's been the story all winter. It continues to be the story, but we continue to be, in general here, pretty active, even if we're on the warm side. So yeah. Snow has pretty much melted just about everywhere except for at the very highest of elevations. Here's what radar looks like. You can see there's a little bit of snow on the backside, but right now the system is mostly wet. And actually with a system this far west, you'd say, well, it's going to be all rain here. But what's happening here is we're going to get kind of a reinvigoration of the system in the southern part of the storm that is going to try to redevelop a little off the coast and slide just kind of south of us. And we have just enough cold air, and it is just barely marginally cold enough that it will hold some snow to kind of mix in. I'm pretty confident it's not going to be that much snow, although with this kind of system, we're close to the line, a couple degrees colder than we think, and my snow totals would go up, at least at elevation, pretty significantly. I think you're pretty safe below 750 feet, but above that, it gets a little sketchier forecast-wise, but I'm pretty confident that it's not going to be that much actual snow. The models differ a little bit on it. Most of the models trend towards not that much accumulating snow. The European model is kind of the one outlier that gives us a decent amount of snow. It's like a couple degrees colder, and that would mean enough snow to cause more than just some nuisance issues, but enough snow to kind of make things slippery above 1,000 feet, above 1,500 feet, and also maybe to cause some power issues. But I don't think that's going to be the problem, the situation. But I do want you to be aware of it because it is sort of possible, and it really, until it happens, is going to be kind of hard to tell whether that's actually going to materialize or not. So just on a fringe, you want to be aware that that might happen. I would basically plan, though, on basically wet, and it's going to happen overnight mostly on Saturday night. Let's take a look at those temperatures that kind of help tell the story. This morning we fell back to below freezing in a lot of areas in southern Vermont. First time we've been below freezing in the better part of a week, which is pretty remarkable for early March. North of us, we do have some cold air and this high pressure kind of nosing south, even though it's going to warm up nicely today and be pretty warm. In general, we have kind of aloft cooler air moving in. That's what's sort of setting the stage. Warmth is still ahead of this storm. We're going to try to stream north, but like I said, the system's going to kind of redevelop and kind of cut off the warm air from heading in our direction. And this front behind it is kind of coming through with some colder air, even more colder air from the north and west heading in our direction. That will happen on the backside of the system by Sunday night or late Sunday afternoon. It's going to feel like maybe even a little colder than average. And it will definitely be windy on Sunday night on the backside of the system with a few flurries around as well. Let's take a quick look at what is going on the jet stream. Here's the jet stream. You can notice here's our northern jet stream. They're very well defined, very much split flow across the Pacific. We've had split flow across the United States for the most part, but we do have a little bit of the northern piece of the northern jet stream kind of dipping down and invigorating this storm. That's what's increasing the strength of this system, but still mostly southern jet stream energy. And so with that comes warmer air than average, and with that comes a lot of moisture, which is why we're going to see a lot of moisture. And also, we're going to show you on the next map that it's not entirely connected to the northern jet stream, and the cold air is locked way up close to the pole across the northern, or at least the western hemisphere of the northern hemisphere. So yeah, that's what's kind of holding us back from a lot of potential for snow here. If we look at it on, this is the 500 millibar map, and this kind of shows you anomalies. So the blue colors mean that basically where there's a trough, the red and orange colors, the warm colors, show where there's a ridge. And you can see there is a bit of a connection with the northern jet stream, but still a lot of that trough is locked, not entirely connected. So the system isn't completely phased. It's not going to completely phase until it really kind of heads east of us. And this has been a problem for a lot of winter as well. We don't get these full latitude storms to phase. And a lot of times in the winter, the northern jet stream is much more active than the southern jet stream. And that has been reversed this year with El Nino. Again, El Nino is pretty common that happens during El Nino, especially stronger El Ninos, which this is, which is one of those reasons that we've had this kind of consistent pattern of a kind of a weird, just a weird pattern, or not a pattern we would expect in a lot of other winters, although this has been pretty typical of El Nino winters. Currently, even though we have high pressure at the surface with some cooler temperatures, aloft we still have a bit of a ridge here. The ridge will break down, especially behind the system, which is why we will move some cooler air in after the fact. I want to go to the snowfall forecast map now. All right, let's take a look at that snowfall forecast map now. And I think this does a pretty good job of explaining, for the most part, what I'm also going to explain in text here too, because this is really going to be elevation dependent. So essentially areas above 750 feet, especially in southern Vermont, we're looking at 1 to 2 inches. Areas above 1,500 feet, 2 to 4 inches of snow. Under that, slushy inch or nothing, essentially, for a lot of these areas. So Route 7 corridor, basically just rain. Along the Connecticut River, at least up to Springfield, basically just rain. Even in these southern greens here, I think just an inch or two. We had a little further north and a little higher up across, areas like Stratton, probably down even to Mount Snow, 2 to 4 inches of snow. Now, there will be some rain mixed in even at higher elevation, so this is not an all snow event. At the top of the skiers may do okay. Wouldn't be surprised if at the summit at a place like Stratton, we're almost at 4,000 feet. There, they might get 7-8 inches of snow up at the summit, but by mid-mountain, you might be down to 4 or 5 inches of snow, and by the base, you might be 2 or 3. So that's sort of what we're kind of talking about. Big difference in terms of snow totals. Essentially here, this means if you're driving, the concerns driving is if you've got to go over one of those mountain areas. If you're driving Route 9, you could get a little slushy as you head over west of Reedsboro. If you're heading up to across Route 11, certainly the places that you would expect, Bromley, Snow Valley area on Route 30 would cause problems. 155, certainly 103, potentially in Mount Holly could have some issues as well. Route 4, as you're up near Killington, that could have some issues. Things like that. Those are the places, the tough spots where it usually is the worst. That's where the snow is potential to be on the road. Again, I wouldn't expect this to be too bad. A lot of this happens overnight. Timing-wise, things start basically about 4 to 6 o'clock on Saturday evening. And so that means that by the morning, we're either cutting off precipitation, and a lot of whatever's left is probably transitioning to a kind of light snow or rain showers at that point, and crews will have a chance to get out there and kind of clean things up. A degree or two colder, and this does start to become problematic because this 2 to 4 becomes more like a 4 to 8. And this 1 to 2 becomes a 2 to 4, and that 4 to 8 could cause some power issues. Again, I think that's unlikely, but I do want you to just kind of be somewhat aware it is possible, but unlikely. And I think the lower elevations, even if we are a little colder, are probably okay, except for maybe a slushy accumulation. Okay, that's what it looks like there. Let's take a quick look at, before we go to highlights, let's look at the actual forecast. Sorry, let's hit the right button here. Today, nice day out there, upper 40s, low 50s in the valley locations. Quite a bit of sun, especially early today. A little bit more clouds later on. Overnight tonight, we cool off back down to around freezing on average. A little bit colder than that in some of the higher spots. Saturday, clouds move in. It's quite cloudy all day on Saturday. Temperatures in the low 40s. Clouds hold us back a little bit. And then I think I held off on showing any precipitation Saturday. Some sprinkles and some of that light snow at elevation could start as early as like 6 o'clock. But I don't think we really get going until 7, 8 o'clock for the most part. Don't forget, turn your clocks ahead this weekend. We spring forward on Saturday night, and we'll be doing that in the middle of this kind of wintry mix. Rain at lower elevations, snow at higher elevations. Not really any sleet or freezing rain associated with this. There could be some sleet pellets mixed in, but it's mostly either a rain or a snow event. Sunday morning, still a little bit of wintry mix, mostly rain. At this point, it's lightening up quite a bit. And by mid-morning, we're done entirely, except for the wraparound flurries, which happen late in the afternoon and then happen overnight as we do cool back down. By Sunday night, we're back down into the mid-20s. And Monday looks to be kind of chilly, especially compared to what we've been. A little bit, maybe even a degree or two below normal on Monday. Let's take a quick look at those highlights. One last warm day today before we get back to weather closer to normal. A significant storm moves through with precipitation Saturday evening into Sunday morning. Snow will mix with rain Saturday night, with some accumulation above 750 feet. Basically less than an inch between 700 feet and 1,000 feet, 1 to 2 between 1,000 feet and 1,500 feet, 2 to 4 above 1,500 feet. Like I said, if you get way up, if you're over 2,000 feet, you're maybe 3 to 5, and above 3,000 feet, 4 to 3 to 6, 3 to maybe 7 or 8 inches of snow. Even again, above 3,000 feet is basically just the tops of the ski areas. Sunday afternoon, colder temperatures will move in with snow showers Sunday night. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel before, I would encourage you to do so. Helps make sure you don't miss any of my videos. And here are my patrons. I appreciate what they do to help support the channel. They are kind of what makes things happen. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can take a look at the link in the description below, and it will show you how to do that and what you get as benefits. I will be back on Monday and look at your